topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Camping Show. I'm CW Getz. My lovely co-host Willow Munson is traveling this evening, so I'll be flying solo here. It is Wednesday, November 24th, 2021. We have a 51-degree overcast and calm conditions here near Chicago. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Sandsbug, the quickest tent you've ever pitched. Campground Views, making camping easier. By Rutabaga Paddle Sports, providing time on the water. By Campmore, the store that gets you out more, and by Duluth Pack, made in the USA since 1882. Tonight's episode is Gourmet Winter Camp Cooking with my special guests, Kevin Callan and Cliff Jacobson. Kevin, a.k.a. the Happy Camper, Callan is the author of 18 books. He's an award-winning writer and a keynote speaker at outdoor events across North America, and is also a regular guest on several television morning shows and CBC radio. Kevin has several film awards to his credit and writes a column for Paddling Magazine and Explore Magazine. He was listed as one of the top 100 modern-day explorers by the Canadian Geographical Society and was made patron paddler for Paddle Canada. Cliff Jacobson is one of North America's most respected outdoors writers and wilderness paddlers. He's a retired environmental science teacher, an outdoors skills instructor, a canoeing and camping consultant, and the author of more than a dozen top-selling books and a popular video on canoeing and camping. Cliff is a distinguished Eagle Scout, a recipient of the American Canoe Association's prestigious Legends of Paddling Award, and a member of the ACA Hall of Fame. And with that, welcome to the show, Kevin and Cliff.
Hey, guys!
Hey,
Hey,
I recognize that.
Hey, before you get started here, I don't know why you invited me on the show. Now, Kevin, he's the winter camper expert here, okay? I mean, he's got a great book on it. He does this stuff all the time, okay? I'm just here for laughs, okay?
That's great. That's great. Well,
it's just a facade. It's a facade. I've never winter camped in my life. I usually go to Florida.
that's my line, pal.
Yeah.
You know,
Kevin, you've never been to Florida. You've never been to Florida, have you?
I paddled the Everglades years ago.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of cool.
Did you do the Everglades too? Did you like it?
I did. Maybe it's too busy now, but I did at that time. I like the idea that when you went to go and clean up on the campsite, you had to watch for crocodiles snapping your arm and pulling you in.
Nice.
I like that. That was kind of cool.
Oh, and you got to camp on all those little chickies with all the no-see-ums flying around.
That was kind of weird. Yeah.
You know, I thought if nothing else, Cliff, we'll start an early roast for Kevin, and I'm going to plug your episode. That will be, if I'm correct, Canoe Hounds Adventure Show, and that will be Tuesday at I believe it's is it 7:00 Central? Is that right? Yeah. So everybody's coming on. Everybody who loves Kevin, everybody who hates Kevin will be there.
Nobody hates Kevin. Everybody loves Kevin. Kevin.
Don't you have any ex-girlfriends or anything like that, Kevin? That
Kevin has
some. Not many.
Kevin may have some.
Not many. I've lived a weird life. But here's the thing. Like seriously, I ask you guys out there, everybody out there. I'm not that old. I'm turning 58, and that's not that old. I mean, you're a lot older than I am. You know what I'm saying?
39. Remember, we were talking about this.
Oh my God, it's 39.
39.
But so Dennis sort of wanted to do this roast, and I was like, why? Like, why would you roast me? I don't get that. And I'll throw my opinions left, right, and center. I've learned from the best, like Cliff. I just whatever I got to say, I just say it, right? But the weird thing about it is, and I'll take it, whatever you throw back at me, I'm fine with it. I'm good with it. But like a roast,
Maybe that's part of it.
If you
I
say
think that's
so,
a big
here
part of it, right?
I'm asking everybody out there: if you say no to a roast, that's wrong, right? You can't say no.
What do they think of you if you say no, Kevin? Let's say that.
Well, yeah, you're an arrogant ass, right? If you say no, right?
You know.
Yeah. So I'm good for it. Except like, who am I? So the good thing is Cliff is going to tease the crap out of me. He'll tell everybody how I can't drink my scotch. My buddy Tim, he phoned me the other night. He goes, Kevin, I got this email. Like, we're going to roast you. I said, really? I've been tripping you for days and days on end. I got nothing really bad to say. I went, yeah, but you do sharpen my axe. He goes, oh, that's right, because you can't sharpen an axe with crap.
Well,
it'll be great.
Happy is all I have to say is happy birthday, Kev. You know, I was 58 once. I even still remember it.
Yeah. Yes. And you know what? You don't look 58, honestly.
Thank you.
Yes. No. Well, both of you.
Cheers on that. There you
Yes,
go.
sir. You look more like 60. I'm just joking. No. So no, you're good. I honestly, both of you gentlemen don't look your age, and and that's a blessing because I do look my age, and that's a sad deal.
I think that Cliff and I have something really in common. I don't think him and I even think of our age. We just think about the next portage or the next lake.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think that means a lot.
Keep your focus where it belongs. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, right now I'm going through. I have a kind of a nerve problem in my lower right leg, and so one of the problems, and I'm going to get a shot for it. I hope I don't have to get surgery for it. But one of the problems, things that happens when you get to be an older guy like me. When you're 81 years old, like I am, and you go in and the doctor starts talking to you, they think, oh yeah, it's no big deal. The guy's 81, all those guys want to do, sit in front of the TV, sit all day. No, don't you get it? I'm not 81. I'm 34. That's just my chronological age. So you gotta fight for yourself when you get older, because they think of all these old people are the same. They just want to sit around and do nothing. Yeah, well, I can still paddle pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And good for you, Cliff. And that there's a lot to be said for that. I am more active than most 20-year-olds that I know, at least 25-year-olds. And I'm telling you something, you're as old as you feel or as young as you feel. And if you do sit in front of the TV, I know some people who do that. And yeah, they walk around like they're 120 years old, man. It's not the way to go. That's what we do this show for.
Yeah. The thing that Cliff and I have that is different is how we eat out in the woods, especially in the winter. We completely are different in that way. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about that. And speaking of which, let's get started with this controversial. No, it's not a controversial episode, but let's first talk about what foods are suitable for winter camping and which ones are not, since temperature is definitely a factor.
Well, I defer to Kevin. He's just like I say, I'm just here for laughs tonight.
We'll start with you, Kevin. Which foods are suitable for $100? Which foods are suitable for winter camping and which are not?
Yeah, Cliff actually knows a lot about the food in the outdoors, whether it's hot and cold, whatever. But you got to remember when the temperatures drop, things freeze. So don't bring bananas and salad. Like, that's just stupid. And I did that on my first trip. I brought bananas and I brought salad. And in the morning, I looked at my salad and it was wilty and frozen.
Yeah.
My bananas were frozen and they looked disgusting. I brought eggs on day 2. They were frozen. Ice. Oh my Lord, I'm Canadian. I forget the name. When you hit the
ice pucks? Hockey
Thank you.
We did this on another episode. He's really not Canadian, is he?
I got to add something to this frozen thing. Like the very first winter trip I did, we had water in water bottles, okay, but we also had a bottle with vodka in it. Like these were, polyethylene bottles. And I think the temperature was it wasn't that cold. Temperature was maybe about 10 above zero, 8, 10 above zero, something like that. We're camped out there in the snow, and we had all the bottles are upside down. Now you want, if you're going to, they're upside down in the snow, okay, because you want the freezing to start at the top. You want to be able to open the bottle. So I'm making chili. I'll never forget this. I'm making this chili, and I grab one of the bottles and I pour some water in there, and I'm still stirring around, and this thing won't boil. I got an Optimus 111B stove running full blast. This baby won't boil. Finally, after a half an hour, it boils, and we taste the chili. Oh my, I could have gagged a maggot. You know what? I used a whole bottle of vodka instead of water.
Oh, my God. That's an Otis Campbell story right there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's the rules.
That's a true story.
Wow.
I learned
I'm
real
surprised
fast.
you didn't blow something up with that. I mean, it was vodka and not Everclear. I mean, really. It'll be like having a still almost, right?
We did the same thing on a trip, and we're completely sober during it. Just to make note, we were cooking pancakes, and I kept on adding cooking oil, but it wasn't cooking oil. It was actually maple syrup.
Oh, wow.
I was frying the pancakes in maple syrup, and was wondering why it smelt and burnt so badly. And
what did it do to the texture?
It was disgusting.
Oh, I bet it was like gum. It's like a bunch of Wrigley spearmint gum in there.
Oh no! Like add the syrup after you make the pancakes. That's normal. To fry it in there instead of oil, like no, that's just wrong.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to say some hi to some people, and then we're going to get rolling here. Let's see who we've got. If I do this without losing connection here, because I do that sometimes. Mustang 774. Good evening, all. I've been looking forward to this show all week. Camper Christina, hey Mustang, hey, she's saying hi. Okay, so and how you doing? Kim Switzer, hey there, Kevin and Cliff. Hello from Memphis, and okay. Camper Christina, where did I go here? Bring on the food. I'm hungry. Alan Bierhoff, Kevin, I really enjoyed your hot tent video. Okay, now I just lost this. Here we go. Jim Considine, you only rust when you rest. Hey, that's true. I like that. That's my buddy Jimmy. We used to go hiking together when I was here. Cool Quest. Hey, y'all.
Hey.
Let's see what else we got. Kevin Hedgepeth, happy Thanksgiving from Mountain Home, Arkansas. Hey, Kevin.
Oh, yeah. Nice area. Nice area. You know, Kevin was talking about things that freeze. You know, one of the things I had on one of my earlier trips was cheese. Boy, cheese tastes like candle tallow when it's frozen. But, you know, if you keep it in your pocket, it's kind of, you know, it's kind of like, okay. But one of the foods that is really great, I think, is the one that was developed by that Minnesota Outward Bound School years and years ago. It's called the Hudson Bay bread. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar.
Stuff is great.
It's a big granola cookie. It's got about 1.2 million calories in it. You know, but that's a good winter food too. But yeah,
you know, I told you guys I was going to drop out, didn't I? And that's why I don't do this show myself. I have a producer that knows what the hell's going on. I don't have to do this stuff. Okay, listeners world. Number 2. What sort of foods supply the proper amount? Speaking of calories, what sort of foods supply the proper amount of energy, high energy that is, and calories that are essential for cold weather adventuring?
Yeah, you need a lot of energy out there because it's cold and your body is your furnace, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not a vegetarian, eat as much fat as possible. Bacon, 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 bacon. Okay. Right? And if you're not into that, then Christmas cake. My mom's Christmas cake. Like as much calories as possible, because if you don't eat out there and you don't drink, a lot of people don't drink a lot of water.
Right.
They think that actually in the wintertime, they're not as thirsty, but winter is actually, or cold temperatures, it's like a desert. So your body is craving it, but you don't know that. And you don't drink as much.
What type of calorie? We're going to have a dietitian on here in, I think it's January. We're talking about calories and things like that. Clara can take. What type of calories are we talking about? I mean, what sort of foods particularly? I mean, we bring a bunch of donuts. Is that good? Because there's a lot of calorie donuts.
No, you know, but salami, sausages, stuff like that, that Hudson Bay bread. Kevin's exactly right. You just got to punch out a lot of calories. And the problem is you really don't want to take the time to cook them all the time, because cooking is more of a major deal in the winter, you know, than it is in the summer.
Yep.
So, you know, and for example, if you have a choice between salami and some sort of a hard type dried sausage, you're better not to go with the dried, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah,
when I was traveling with the First Nations people when I was young, they taught me so much. I was out in the bush for a whole month with them on the trap line, and we ate moose nose and beaver tail. That was their delicacy. And I'm thinking, why? And it tasted really good. And then they said, well, because you're cold. So a beaver tail, it has no fur on the tail, so therefore it's full of fat, and that's the first thing you want to eat. And a moose nose as well. We'd actually boil it, or not. We'll boil the beaver tail, but also roast the moose nose on a stick on the fire. Wow. And of course, you're thinking that's disgusting, Kevin. I devoured it like no.
Wow.
You know, somebody just brought in. There was a ribbon went across the screen. I forget what it was, some sort of a cake type thing or something they went across. But fruitcake's another thing that seems to work out pretty good in the winter too. That's a high energy kind of a food.
Yeah, yeah. And tack. Cliff, have you ever tried tack? The old Scottish fry bread. It's not bannock. It's more of a really hard, and the voyageurs would eat it and probably break their teeth with it. But you would fry it in fat. So.
Well, did I ever tell you the time when I was a kid? I guess I was about 14 and I was going winter camping, and I got into this. I'm going to make pemmican. Yes, sir. And I melted all this fat. I remember melted all this fat, and I put the berries in there. And it was cold out, but I could hardly gag it down. I got to tell you, pemmican sounds good, but you got to be awful hungry to eat that stuff.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. But you think back in the day, like my dad, like old timer, he would get up in the morning before work, and he would get the bacon fat and then smear it on toast, and that's what he had for breakfast.
Oh, okay. So and that works. That's the same thing as just having bacon fat. The grease is fat, so right, that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wouldn't do that.
That's Hey, let me ask you this, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but just real quickly, let's talk about home dehydrating. What type of foods do each of you dehydrate yourselves, and which ones are best purchased?
Well, go ahead, Kel.
No, go ahead, Cliff. You're good.
Well, I don't, dehydrating's a lot of work. I do dehydrate, but I basically only dehydrate a few things. One, I dehydrate hamburger. Okay, but when you dehydrate it, you're removing all the fat, don't forget. It's about 99% fat-free. But if I dehydrate hamburger, I take chili beans, just canned chili beans, and I dehydrate them, okay? And then I order on the web tomato powder, okay? Tomato powder, it's about 15 or 20 bucks a pound for tomato powder, but that's a lot of tomato powder. So if you have tomatoes and hamburger and beans, I mean, you can make a lot of stuff. Everything from, burritos, you can throw the hamburger in soup, whatever, but still you're not going to be getting that. In the summer, it's great, but in the winter, dehydrated hamburger, it's protein, yes, but it's not a lot of fat. So basically, those are the things I dehydrate. I consider everything else just too much work, and I buy it.
I don't buy any of the dehydrated stuff, basically because I have no life. So I dehydrate all my stuff, and I love doing it. So what I'll do one day on a Sunday, whatever, I'll dehydrate a whole bunch of things, put them in Ziploc bags, and then reuse those Ziploc bags, wash them, reuse them again, and I have bins. And so when I go on a trip, all of a sudden, because I'll say, "Oh my Lord, I'm doing a trip tomorrow. I did not know that," and I'll do all these packages. What's glorious about winter camping is that you're right about the meat. Like, I don't eat a lot of meat when on a canoe trip in the summer because I don't want it to go rancid. Even though it's dehydrated, you still have to, fry the hamburger, put it in the spaghetti strainer, rinse it with hot water, make sure all the fat's out of it. But for winter camping, I'll do a separate bin, though I'll keep it in my sunroom that's actually cold. And I want that fat. So I'll do a different meal for that. But what I do, to be quite honest, because I hot tent more than I cold tent. So cold tenting is like a 4-season tent where your own heat source is yourself. I prefer hot tenting where I've got a canvas stove, like a snow trekker, and I've got a stove going. I cook in there because there's no bears out because they're all sleeping. Well, they're not really deep sleeping because they're not true hibernators, but they are asleep. And I use a Dutch oven.
Oh, Woody Dutch oven.
Yeah, you know this because from the Michigan show, right?
I love those. That's a great oven.
I have a cast iron one, but this is lighter and it is aluminum. So you might say, well, is that healthy for you? So I put parsnip paper in there. So when it's done, I pull the parsnip paper out. So it's not an issue. And also, like really, I know that you can go through the whole issues about baking in aluminum. I'm fine.
GSI has a it's not Teflon. What is it? Anodized coating on there. And I have one of those, a small one, but yeah. And I was just going to talk about that here in the next question.
Well, you can bring frozen. I mean, that's the beauty of the winter. You can bring in, you want to bring frozen steaks, bring frozen steaks. You can fry them. You can Dutch oven, whatever.
You know,
I make stews, curries, spaghetti, all in this. And in theory, I could freeze it all at home or dehydrate it all at home and put it in this. This is heavy though, right? So when I'm talking about winter camping, I'm not carrying this on a backpack. I'm pulling it on a freight toboggan because I'm Canadian and we're northern and we have a lot of snow. Well, maybe global warming, no, maybe not. But we have a lot of snow. We use snow as your advantage and we pull our weight on the snow as opposed to carry it. So this is not a big deal.
Yeah,
sure.
And I love eating in the wintertime because there's nothing else to do. It gets dark at 4.
I know. Eat and sleep. That's it.
Yeah. You got to do something.
So let me ask you this. What type of gourmet meals do each of you prepare at camp? You know, utilizing the foods that you dehydrate at home.
What was that again? Say again.
What kind of gourmet meals do each of you prepare at camp utilizing the foods that you dehydrate at home? In other words, let's just say, Cliff, and I know this for a fact, I've read this in your books, you dehydrate a lot of ground beef. So what do you do with that ground beef? What kind of recipes? Meals do you
actually, the one of the favorite meals on my trips is, it's so simple, it's laughable. I call it shiitake mushroom ramen. So each person gets one package of ramen. Okay, you have a bunch of shiitake mushrooms that you peel off that are going to go in there. And then you have dried hamburger that you put in there, and dehydrated veggies. And you add an extra bouillon cube just to kick it up a little bit. So you just bring those, all you're going to do is you're going to bring the water to a boil, and you're going to throw, before you bring the water to a boil, you throw everything in there except the noodles. And as soon as it boils, you throw the ramen in there, give it a stir, take it off the stove immediately, cozy it up. We'll talk about that in a little bit, and come back in about 5 minutes, and everything is completely done. So you're saving stove fuel, and at the same time, you're not burning anything. But for winter cooking, you know, there are one thing is like a must, and that's this cozy system that I think that I developed a long time ago. Because if you don't use that, you're going to go through a lot, not only just a lot of stove fuel, but you're going to burn a lot of stuff, and it's going to get cold real fast.
Yep. And we're going to get into a lot of that later here just after the commercial. Kevin, what kind of gourmet stuff do you come up with? Dehydrating.
I'm a really big fan of stout stew, the Irish idea. And so I'll dehydrate some of it, but I'll also bring a bag of mini potatoes in and whatever, and because again I'm pulling it on a freight toboggan, and I'll put it in the Dutch oven. But the big thing is the afternoon boil up. It's really important for everybody to know about winter. Don't be in a rush, right? So at noon or at 1 o'clock, probably before 1, you stop, whether you're pulling your stuff on a backpack or whether you're pulling on a freight toboggan, and you get a fire going. And when I travel with the Cree, I remember the moment where, the elder said, well, there's a snowshoe hare, shoot it, we're hungry. And by the way, hare and fish do not have enough fat. So if you're out for a 1-month winter trip and you're just eating rabbit and fish, you're going to get really cold because there's no fat in it. But anyway, there was a rabbit. So I went to shoot it and I missed. And it was kind of a comical thing. Cliff would love the story. I went running after the rabbit, and the Charlie, the elder, he goes, "You are one hyper white man. Oh my God, man! Just like you are just out of control." And he goes, "We're over here for a month, and this is only day 5. You need to calm down." And he goes, "Let's have a boil up for tea." And I went, "Oh my God, a boil up for tea? That's going to take forever." Because when you're in the north, we talked, CW, we talked about this before. You don't want to drink snow, right?
Yeah.
It tastes bad. It tastes like burnt milk.
Right.
So they refuse. So I'm the Joe guy, and I go and I chisel the ice in the far north of Quebec, and it's going to take 40 minutes for me to get to the water. Then I get the water, and I bring it back, and I boil it. I get a fire going. I went, really? This is just the stupidest. We could have been traveling. We could have been, gone by now. And Charlie goes, okay, we got the boil on. He goes, now let's have lunch. Let's have rabbit. I went, we don't have a rabbit. Well, the Soshu hare, or our rabbit, goes on its own trail, right, in the wintertime. So it came back in its run, and it's right in front of me. And I shot it, and we ate it. And he taught me a valuable lesson. He goes, just chill out here, man. And let's drink a lot of tea. Let's get some protein in us. But going back to your question, some of my favorite meals, chili is good, except you got to really, like your tent mates.
Right.
Yeah, that's important.
So let me ask you this, and I do this. I put together, and I just wrote this down. These are 2 things that I thought of. I make casseroles.
Yeah.
And I make meatloaf with mashed potatoes. And what I do is I assemble ingredients at home, because I've already tested these recipes out, and I will bring them as a meal, and they all go in at once, and it bakes together. Do either of you do anything like that? Except, the chili, actually, definitely great idea.
Yeah, so chili, the meatloaf, that's a great recipe you're making, and all the others can be dehydrated at home as well, or not. It all depends, again, what weight you want to carry. Mm-hmm. But if you're going backpacking, and Kevin Outdoors just answered. Look at that. Look, this is the man here, right here. Look.
There you go. Hey.
One of the greatest cookbooks for winter camping. I got to tell you. Look at this book. It's got amazing. So anyway, I'm blabbing.
Get a hold of me. We'll have him on here with us again. We'll do this show again.
He's a great guy. Very knowledgeable person.
Have him get a hold of me.
Yeah. So his book, he's got a bunch of recipes in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would either dehydrate that at home and then reconstitute it. If you're cold tenting and you got a stove going, like MSR stove or Transio, whatever, do that, or just do, again, the Dutch oven on in your hot tent.
And that's what we do the meatloaf. We do the meatloaf and the casseroles in, is the that little GSI. And I have to tell you, I understand when you're hoofing that stuff around, it's aluminum, but it still weighs. But I take it, because it all goes from the canoe to the shore. And we're not doing I'm not taking it to the boundary waters.
Yeah, but Cliff and I are a lot more powerful than you are. We can carry a lot more things.
There is that. Especially that Cliff, man. He's a beast. That's all. Hey, we had a couple of questions up here. Roxy, can you put those up? And then we're going to run off to a commercial break. See, what method do you guys prefer to cook with in the winter? Fire, white gas, propane, isobutane, alcohol, or something else?
Well, I always like to have a fire. Fire is important to me, but I don't cook on it. What I'll put on a fire, I'll put on a teapot with water. That's about it. The rest of the cooking is on a stove. And as far as what kind of stove, it's gasoline. Nothing else works very well. You go with butane, and you're going to go through a lot of fuel and not get a lot of heat, and the thing might even shut down on you at those temperatures. Propane works just fine, but it's really heavy and bulky. You want to carry it, fine, but it's pretty tough to beat a powerful white gas stove. And so, that's pretty much what I use. There is just one thing that is really pretty important. You'll find out kind of quick about both fires and stoves in the winter. One, your fire, if you have a big, thick snow cover, like the time we went from Ely to Grand Marais on skis, we were 6-foot snow every night. You build a fire on that, it's gone in about 3 minutes. It just sinks out of the snow and goes out. So you got to have a support for it. Yeah. And pretty much, and it's the same thing with a stove. If you're running a gasoline stove, like I had an Optimus 111B at the time, but they're all of your gas stoves get hot on the bottom. You got to support it on something. And the best thing is just a square of plywood or something like that that doesn't conduct heat. You can put the stove on top of that, and it's not going to be a problem. But if you don't have that, you're going to have to build some sort of a framework of wood, in order to keep this thing from sinking into the ground. And you got to have covers on every pot. You got to have covers on every pot, and you're going to want to use the cozies. Otherwise, you're going to waste a lot of stove fuel.
Okay, let's go to that next question there real quick. I know we got to run to a commercial break here. Question: what is your favorite dish to cook in the winter? Each one of you guys, give me your favorite dish.
I prefer whiskey.
I was going to say, is it the whiskey?
I agree. Yes. Whiskey. If all else fails, there's whiskey.
What did Cliff make? The whiskey pan? What was it? The whiskey? What did you make, Cliff? You thought it was water?
The what? No, that was the old days. That was before I developed before I developed a taste for fine Scotch.
Okay? Well, no.
That was vodka. Is what that was? Just clear vodka. It looked like water. You couldn't tell.
What were you making with it, though? That's what I'm asking. What was that?
Well, I was making chili, but the water bottles were upside down in the snow, and I just grabbed the wrong one. It wasn't labeled.
I think you should make that a recipe. Vodka chili. Yeah. Now that sounds good. See,
terrible.
They said delicious.
Yeah,
terrible.
Yeah, that's the title of a book right there, Cliff.
All right, we're going to take a commercial break here, but don't go away. We'll be back with more of the Camping Show on W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV after these messages.
It's time to go camping. Introducing Campground View's virtual tours. You can tour the campground, see the sites, see if they are available, and click to book your perfect spot. Hit the open road and explore the amazing places found in nature. We make it easy to discover, find, and book your site so that you can go have the fun and freedom you seek. Campground View's virtual tours make it easy and simple for you to see where you are going.
A few years ago, someone asked Rutabaga's owner, Darren Bush, "Hey, how long have you guys been selling boats?" Darren replied, "We don't sell boats. We sell time on the water." Of course, that comes in all types. We help people paddle more safely with Rutabaga outdoor programs. We rent canoes, kayaks, and stand-up paddleboards. We sell and install racks to get you from home to adventure. Rutabaga's got everything you need to get you out on the water, like paddles, life jackets, dry bags, and clothing. Rutabaga Paddle Sports, on the web at rutabaga.com. Mention you saw this ad on the Camping Show.
Campmore in Paramus is open, and we're fully stocked with everything you need for your next outdoor adventure. Stop in for safe in-store shopping or buy online with curbside pickup. Check campmore.com for our latest hours. Campmore, for over 40 years, your outdoor recreation store.
Duluth Pack is handcrafted for every lifestyle, making memories since 1882. In store at 365 Canal Park Drive or online at duluthpack.com.
And we're back with our guests, Cliff Jacobson and Kevin Callan here on the Camping Show. And I'm just looking at the clock. We've got 15 minutes left. So we're going to need to, this should have been a 2-part show. And I apologize to you guys. And I don't like rushing either one of you because you're full of tons of knowledge here. So
it keeps going on and on and on. He's out of control.
I'm going to ask you some real quick, just to be short with these answers. Cliff, I'm going to address this one to you because we talked about this before the show. What happens when you're handling stove fuel like naphtha? What happens and what should you do to prevent frostbite? What happens there?
Well, that's pretty dangerous stuff at those temperatures. you want to be sure you're wearing gloves when you handle it. And you're wearing a thick parka probably when you're cooking because you're stopped for the day now, and you're getting cold. So you also got to watch when you're cooking with either around fire or stoves with that thick parka you're wearing. You don't swing your arm over a stove and catch fire. I've had that happen. Not a smart move. Just be sure when you're pouring gasoline, you're wearing gloves, and it's in a place where it's not going to get tipped over, because you spill that on your hand and you're going to have instant frostbite.
All right, guys, real quick, what are we doing here? How are we doing some fuel consumption or fuel conservation here in the wintertime? Because it takes more fuel in the winter than it would in summer. What do you guys do?
Use your armpit.
There you go.
Or your groin if you want. But I find propane's the worst. Butane propane mix is better. Alcohol like a Trangia is okay. White gas is better. A fire probably is better as long as you know your wood species, and that's a whole entire different show for knowing your wood species.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for danger's sake, yeah. I was on live TV once. I got a blooper reel for that. I won an award where I had a propane canister stove, and I tilted it, and it was minus 24 Celsius, and it ignited and went to blow up, and I had to throw it into the snow before it blew up.
Oh wow!
And I didn't know why, and the person that sold it to me said, "Well, don't you know that if you actually have that fuel at that level and tilt it, it will ignite?" No, I didn't know that. And the woman that was interviewing me had like more hairspray you could ever imagine in her hair, and I had to push her into the snow. And it's actually wow. It's on YouTube somewhere. I wanted to work for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, for that. So I would say butane propane mix or white gas would be the best. And also, before you do it, put it on your armpit or in your groin to get it warmed up. Or again, I hot tent a lot, so I would just go in the tent and use the stove.
Cliff, we talked about your cozies quite a bit on another episode, and you can find that about back in, I don't know how many episodes it was ago, but the use of cozies and insulated pot covers keeps everything warm, and we've talked about that before. But I'm going to ask you this: how about hot beverages? What keeps hot beverages hot?
Well, it's the same deal.
Same deal.
If you make a tea kettle full of boiling water, and you set it on a closed cell foam pad as soon as it comes off the stove, and you cover it immediately with an insulated cozy. If you don't have an insulated cozy, then throw a jacket over it, or a vest, or a parka, or whatever, something to keep the heat in. But I just want to go back for just a second to this stove business. Personally, I wouldn't use anything but gasoline in the winter. It's got the highest heat output. You know how much fuel you have all the time. So whereas with propane or butane propane mix, and I think a butane propane mix, if it gets cold enough, it's going to slow that baby down. It just is. Propane is a different ball game. Propane comes in a heavy steel cylinder, but to get these little canisters of butane propane mix, and it's 10 degrees below zero, when that thing's supposed to ordinarily burn for say an hour, you're going to be down to 15 minutes if it's really cold, and if the wind's blowing. Personally, don't take chance with it. Go gasoline in the winter. When I did that Arctic survival school out in Spitsbergen, we also did some Norway. We also did some cooking with alcohol stoves. They work in the winter, but man, are they slow,
Let me ask you this. How does real quickly here, because I got some really good questions coming up. I want to get to those. How does the task of washing cookware and personal dinnerware differ in cold weather as opposed to other seasons?
Kevin, you go.
Well, make sure you do it because it's cold outside. Why would you want to go out there and clean the dishes? I don't even like doing dishes when it's warm out. But no, what I do, I do that in the summer too. But in the wintertime, I go and get a balsam bough or spruce, whatever. But balsam is good because it's a weed tree. And I use that as a scrub dish and use snow way away from the campsite, make a little hole in the snow and wash dishes that way. Because if you use a spongy, after a few days, that's just full of bacteria. It's just full of bacteria. So using that all the time is just going to make you more sick. So cutting a balsam, especially a balsam, because it's a wheat tree too. Like I'm really, so just cut that and use that as a scrub dish and away from the camp. And I think that's amazing.
That's cool.
I would just use snow. I clean them out with snow. Everybody has their own pot or their own bowl. There's no bacterial problem in the winter when that stuff's frozen. So I basically never clean them out. If I do want to do dishes, then I also have a pair of rubber gloves that I wear over my insulated gloves, and I boil water, and then I'll wash them in boiling water. And boy, Kevin is so right on the. You don't want to bring a sponge or something like that. It'll be a mess. But the good news is that dishwashing in ultra cold temperatures like that is you can do it if you want, or if you don't want to do it, as long as everybody's eating out of the same bowl all the time, it's not much of an issue.
Oh, you're an animal. You're an animal, Cliff.
Hey, did we ever drink scotch out of the same glass, Kevin? Huh?
Good point. Good point.
I actually saw that in person. I saw that these two do this live. It's just disgusting. No, it's all right. Hey, Kevin, why is it not good to use melted snow for drinking or cooking?
Well, you can. There's two reasons. One is it doesn't taste good. If you melt snow, it does taste like burnt milk. It doesn't have a really good taste to it. The other is it's a lot of fuel. Like you know how much snow you have to melt to make like a 1 cup of water? Like that's a lot of fuel. So, you don't want to go out and drill a hole in the ice, but you're going to do it. If you have an auger, it's only going to take a couple of minutes and you're fine. And it's going to taste better. And it's also reminding you to calm down and use the resources around you as opposed to survive out there. You want to thrive out there, not survive. It's a big difference.
Yeah, that's a great point. Kevin, I'm going to mention this real quick, and then we're going to do a commercial, come back, and we'll do some photos. I'm going to leave that to last. Kevin, you got a book that's recently been released, Complete Guide to Winter Camping, 2nd edition. Can you tell us a little bit about that book?
Oh, yeah. I just happen to have it here.
There
you go. Oh, that's the back copy. All right, I put this out. No, I put this one. Oh, no. I put this one out a couple years ago, and actually, it went really well, which means that winter camping is like especially hot tenting. It has gone berserk, right? So they said 2nd edition, Kevin. So I did that, and I just put this out last week, and it's got 30 extra pages plus recipes. My mother's fruit cake recipe is in there. That's really important. But it just proves that when I went to a major publisher and said, hey, I want to do a book on winter camping, they're like, who would buy that? Who in their right mind would go winter camping? I went, well, I think we're different. And it became a bestseller in 2 weeks.
See, they don't know nothing, man, do they?
It's an excellent book, folks. It really is. I have a copy. It's really good.
It's cool.
And it's funny, too, because he's a funny guy. Let's face it,
I'm very serious, Cliff. I'm very, very serious.
Is mine on the way? Did you tell me mine's on the way?
You didn't get yours yet?
No, I did not. I thought maybe I'll just mention that as long as we're on the air. That's
really?
Okay. Hey, it's Christmas time and all the everybody's back.
No, you know what? All the other Canadian media people got it and you didn't. What's going on over there?
Hey, sold out on Amazon. Cool Quest says.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently, you're like a rock star.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break to hear from our sponsors, but don't go away. We'll be back with more of the Camping Show on W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV after these messages.
It's time to go camping. Introducing Campground Views virtual tours. You can tour the campground, see the sites, see if they are available, and click to book your perfect spot. Hit the open road and explore the amazing places found in nature. We make it easy to discover, find, and book your site so that you can go have the fun and freedom you seek. Campground Views virtual tours make it easy and simple for you to see where you are going.
A few years ago, someone asked Rutabaga's owner, Darren Bush, hey, how long have you guys been selling boats? Darren replied, we don't sell boats. We sell time on the water. Of course, that comes in all types. We help people paddle more safely with Rutabaga outdoor programs. We rent canoes, kayaks, and stand-up paddleboards. We sell and install racks to get you from home to adventure. Rutabaga's got everything you need to get you out on the water, like paddles, life jackets, dry bags, and clothing. Rutabaga Paddle Sports, on the web at rutabaga.com. Mention you saw this ad on the Camping Show.
Camp Moore in Paramus is open, and we're fully stocked with everything you need for your next outdoor adventure. Stop in for safe in-store shopping or buy online with curbside pickup. Check campmore.com for our latest hours. Camp Moore, for over 40 years, your outdoor recreation store.
Duluth Pack is handcrafted for every lifestyle, making memories since 1882. In store at 365 Canal Park Drive or online at duluthpack.com.
And we're back on the Camping Show with our guests, Cliff Jacobson and Kevin Callan. And Roxy, let's have you put their photos up. We're going to need to do this rather quickly, guys. So we'll put, you want to put Kevin's up first, or how do you want to do it? And we'll have kind of go through these real quick. Okay.
Oh, that's my mom's Christmas.
What is that now? What are we looking at?
Christmas cake. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Like, let everybody actually respond to this. Who likes Christmas cake and who actually wants to barf?
No. Jeez.
I love it. I love it.
That's fruitcake, in other words, right?
Yes.
All right.
And that's having a boil up, going up to Silver Peak and Killarney with Lure of the North. Amazing people. If you want to go on an incredible wilderness trip and you're not sure what to do or why why you would do it, and you might think you might die, go with those people. They're amazing. And yeah. Oh, and that's Andy's. That's his brunch for us. Dried fish, Smarties, raisins, all high calorie stuff. Yep, and we always have him in charge of making us brunch. That's Tim making a cornbread with chili and something else. I forget. Oh no, those beans. What are those beans called? What are those beans called? That there were beans. Anyway, it was good. Oh, and that's scrubbing up dishes with balsam bounds.
That's the scrubby. Good.
Yeah,
good.
This is scrubby, real natural. Oh, and that's a ham I had for Thanksgiving last year for you guys' Thanksgiving. We went out on a trip. Instead of having turkey, I had ham because, turkey was boring after a while. So
that's cool.
Bacon. Oh, my Kelly kettle. And you have to say it in Irish accent because it's made in Ireland. It's Kelly kettle. And it's a stick stove, and that's what calms me down. At noon, I get that thing going, make up a cup of tea, have some fruitcake, and then continue on down the trail.
That's awesome.
Oh, how to make true camp coffee. Because you have to make sure the grounds are down the bottom. So instead of banging it on the side, you just swirl it around your head, and it presses all your friends and family.
Interesting. I have not heard of that. I like that idea.
Yeah, it really works, actually. Well, it doesn't really, but it makes everybody looking, And there's my buddy Andy. Was minus 38 going across a lake in Killarney, and we're having a sandwich we made, a fresh bannock. And it was so hard, you had to put it in your mouth to de-thaw it before you started eating.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, let's see Cliff's pictures. Bro. All right. There's the code.
Okay, that's basically the cozy system, and it's really simple. You just you have a band around it like this. This is an insulated band. So when you have a top hat like so. So when you take this thing off, and you can stir this if you need to, the wind will not super cool the side of the pan. Okay, that's the whole point of it. So as soon as this boils, then You take this thing off, you set it down on a piece of closed cell foam. By the way, you should be standing on a piece of closed cell foam too, because your feet are going to get cold just standing in the snow. Then you just cozy this thing up. You just cover it up, maybe even throw a parka across the top, and this will self-cook. But this is the best way to cook stuff, keep stuff hot long enough for seconds, and not burn anything. This is just the cozy system in operation. By the way, this is the Kopka River, Kev. This is that land of the lost, right? This is the last campsite on the Kopka River. There's the band. I just wanted you to see the cozy band that you see here. Whereas if you use a cozy that you just peel off every time you remove it, the pot's going to super cool. And we even have cozies for our teapots, like you see here.
Yeah, I like that.
Just a thought, you want to be sure you have an insulated mug. You want to have a cover for it to keep the heat in. You want to have a leash on the cover so that you don't lose the cover. And for those who are tent camping, I know candle lanterns are out of vogue, but a candle lantern in a tent with 2 people will raise the tent temperature 8 or 10 degrees. Plus give you a lot of nice light, but you can actually feel the difference.
That's cool. That's very cool.
These are just some different stoves here. And this is a Little Bug. The Little Bug is my favorite outdoor stove. This thing will put out enough heat like a blowtorch. They make a big one. They make a little one. Okay, this one is called the Trek stove and the Emberlit. If you want to see how they stack up, go on my website. There's a blog, a test I did called 4 Wood Burning Stove. You can see how they stack up. But the Little Bug is king. There should be another picture of it running somewhere.
Those Little Bug stoves are amazing. They really are.
And of course, here's what I love about the Little Bug. Not only is it great in the summer, but in the winter, you can get it with a chain setup, and you can hang it from a tripod or a limb or something like that. And here, this is a heavy cast iron pan on top of this thing. You would think this wouldn't work, but it does. So you can just keep feeding it. It won't sink into the snow because it's hanging on chains from a tripod. And then when you're done with it, this is it on the ground. Actually, this is a picture from the Boundary Waters. This thing comes apart. This is stainless steel, comes apart into 2 sections and takes up no room at all. It will actually sit right up against a stuffed sleeping bag, so it takes up no space at all, yet it sure puts out an awful lot of heat.
Yeah. That's
Littlebug.com, www.littl.bug.com. Check it out. Great product.
That's awesome.
And these are, everybody has their own choice in footwear. I happen to like these mucklucks that are made in Ely, Minnesota. These are Steger mucklucks. They come in all different kinds of tops and stuff.
All right. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you, fellas, for sharing those photos with us and telling them about them. And you get some really, really cool stuff on in this episode. So I've actually seen a couple of things I didn't know about. So thank you so much. But I want to thank you, Kevin and Cliff, for being my guest on the camping show. It was certainly a pleasure having you here this evening.
It's amazing. Keep the show going, man. I love the show.
Thank you, sir.
Right? And so anybody out there that wants to sponsor the show, come on, man. What's wrong with you?
Exactly.
I appreciate that, fellas. That means a lot. It really does. So, well, I'd like to thank her. What's that? I'm sorry.
No, I said, hey, my friend. Good to be on the show with you again. I wish we could go to the spring shows and share some good scotch together, but that's a campfire story for another night.
Absolutely.
But I wish you the very, very best. And
I appreciate it. Thank you so
New Year.
much. Thank you so much.
And Merry Christmas.
And likewise.
And Thanksgiving, which you guys don't have.
And no, hey, wait a minute. We have Thanksgiving. We just have it earlier because we're thankful than you are.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Cal Rustrom.
Yeah, 2 books for you. Calvin Rustrom was Paradise Below Zero, a must-read, and Snow Walker's Companion, a must-read. It's the Bible.
All right. Very good. All right. Well, we're going to have to go here. We're running a little late. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Sandsbug, Campground Views, Rutabaga Paddle Sports, Campmore, and Duluth Pack for bringing you tonight's show. Be sure to tune in for next week's episode, Backpacking Through the Camera Lens, with special guest CC Boyle. Until then, thank you for tuning into the Camping Show. This is CW Getz reminding you, learn more, do more. See you next week.
Take care, Cal. Happy birthday.